Sushruta for NEET is now available on the Google Play Store. Try it out for free.
We shall take up the Human Health and Disease chapter for our study. Let us look into the common diseases in humans. There are a wide range of diseases occurring in humans, and these diseases are mainly caused by either bacteria, viruses, fungi, protozoans, helminths, etc., etc. So most of the diseases are because of bacteria, viruses, fungi, protozoans, and helminths. At the end of this particular lecture on human diseases or common diseases in humans, we are going to study one table where I shall explain you all the different types of major diseases caused by these microbes or helminths worms. Such a disease-causing organisms are called pathogens. Most parasites are therefore pathogens. Very important, most parasites are therefore pathogens as they cause harm to the host by living in them or on them. The pathogens can enter our body by various methods, multiply and interfere with the normal vital activities of our body, which results in morphological and functional damage. You know it. Whenever we are infected by one or the other microbe, our normal function gets affected and our morphology also gets damaged. Form, structure of different organs. Pathogens have to adapt to life within the environment of the host. For example, the pathogens that enter the gut. What is that gut? What is gut otherwise called? What is gut? Janani.
Stomach.
It is alimentary canal. Not only stomach. Entire alimentary canal is called by one word, gut. You might have heard in case of a cockroach, foregut, midgut, hindgut. Am I right? Janani? Foregut
Yes,
is the anterior part of the alimentary canal. Midgut is the middle part. And hindgut is the posterior part of the alimentary canal. The pathogens that enter the gut must know a way of surviving in the stomach at a low pH, that means highly acidic pH, and resisting the various digestive enzymes, that means here in the stomach. Why it is specifically said the stomach? Because in the stomach pH is very low. Do you have the idea how much is the gastric juice pH? What is the
5.
pH of gastric juice? Pardon?
5.6.
What? Gastric juice pH is 5.6. Who said it? Is it? Is it? Have you not studied digestive system? I think you have not studied digestive system. It doesn't matter. Anyone? Namrata, you know what is the pH of gastric juice? Prithvi? Yes, Namrata? Prithvi?
No, sir.
Pardon?
No, sir, I don't know.
Anyone else?
so near 2.5.
2.5.
5.
Okay. It is around 2. Right? You have not studied digestive system. You are going to study that digestive system. It is around 2, 1.5 to 2.5. A few representative members from different groups of pathogenic organisms are discussed here along with the diseases caused by them. Preventive and control measures against these diseases in general are also described here. Now let us look into one, typhoid fever. Typhoid fever is caused by a pathogenic bacterium, disease-causing bacterium called Salmonella typhi. You must remember it. Always ask a question. Typhoid fever is caused by a bacterium called Salmonella typhi, which causes a typhoid fever in humans. These pathogens generally enter the small intestine through our food or water contaminated with them and migrate to other organs through the blood. So you must remember, whenever we say that we eat this food contaminated or water contaminated with this Salmonella type of bacteria, means these bacteria, they pass through our fecal matter. Through fecal matter. If at all we eat such a food which is passed through fecal matter or water which is contaminated with this bacteria, they enter our alimentary canal. First they enter through the mouth, they enter into the small intestine and migrate to other organs through the blood. Some of the common symptoms of this typhoid, this is always important. One, sustained high fever. You'll be having the fever throughout to the extent of 39 to 40 degrees centigrade or 104 degrees Fahrenheit. What is your normal body temperature in Fahrenheit? What is your normal body temperature in Fahrenheit? Navya?
Yes, sir.
Aisha?
Sir, around 98.
I want to not around. I want exact. Sarvotam? Siddesh? Harshavardhan? Chinmay Patil? Nadira? Vismita? Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Prithvi? Namrata? Rakesh? Aisha? Kanisa?
Sir, again
Navya?
98.6.
95.
98 point?
6.
Who said it?
Navya.
Navya. At last you could see in the internet and tell me.
No,
Okay,
sir, I was
good.
confused between 98.8 and 98.6. So that's why I
98.6
said
degrees
around.
Fahrenheit. Remember, this is your normal body temperature. So, the other symptoms are weakness, stomachache, constipation. What do you mean by constipation? What do you mean by constipation, Kanisa? What do you mean by constipation? Blessy. Hello? Constipation is difficulty in passing the stools. You are going to your washroom and giving the command, but no download is happening. You cannot defecate. You cannot pass your feces down. That is constipation. Janani, do you know what is Kannada word for that?
Don't know, sir.
You don't know Kannada? Who knows Kannada? Who knows Kannada? Okay, so it is constipation. Then headache and loss of appetite. Appetite is hunger. All these are very important symptoms. Always you are asking examination, board examination for 2 marks. So you must know about that. Intestinal perforation, holes in intestine, and death may occur in severe cases. You know, typhoid fever could be confirmed by a test called Widal test. Always ask a question 2-3 times it was asked in the recent past. Typhoid fever is confirmed by a test called Widal test. How that test is done, you need not bother. A classic case in medicine that of Mary Mellon nicknamed Typhoid Mary, is worth mentioning here. What do you know about this Mary Mellon? Navya, have you met her? Have you
No,
heard
sir.
her?
Yes.
Not meeting. Have you heard her?
Yes, sir.
Have you heard her? What do you have heard her?
That she was a cook and she was a typhoid carrier.
That is given here.
No, that's what I heard, sir. The teacher saying this one.
Do you know anything more than that?
No, sir.
How she passed it? She was a cook by profession and was a typhoid carrier who continued to spread the typhoid for several years through the food she prepared. What she might have done? Is it that she used to spit to the food and offer to everyone? Come on. Kanisa is not there. Kanisa? Aisha?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, tell me. Do you know anything about her?
No, sir.
No. Blessy? Prithvi? Jyoti?
So she was the carrier of typhoid fever by cooking. Like she was adding this.
How? Who is answering? Who is answering?
So me duty.
Tell me. What she might have happened? The thing is that
Sir, she was adding this the pathogen of this typhoid fever into the cook whatever she was cooking, and it was getting spread all over.
my question is that how it used to get through her.
So because she was adding the
How she is adding?
that I don't know, sir.
That you don't know.
Sir, it may be viral also. Fever may be typhoid fever may be viral.
What man? Viral? Huh? What do you mean by?
Huh?
What do you mean by viral?
It can spread by itself.
Typhoid. I said typhoid is spread by bacterium, and you are telling viral. What do you mean by? So, Mary Mellon, I will be just passing through. Mary Mellon, better known Typhoid Mary, was the first person in the United States identified as an asymptomatic carrier. Asymptomatic carrier is one in whom the symptom never appears. We call them asymptomatic carrier or pathogen associated with the typhoid fever. She was presumed to have infected some 51 people, 3 of whom got a ticket to heaven over the course of her career as a cook. 3 died. She was forcibly isolated twice by public health authorities and died after nearly 3 decades altogether in isolation. People have put her in isolation for 30 years before she faced death. She was totally isolated. Mary Mellon was born in 1869 in Cookstown in the United Kingdom. She emigrated to the United States in 1884. From 1900 to 1907, she worked as a cook in New York City area. In 1900, Mary worked in Mammon Wreck, New York, where within 2 weeks of her employment, the residents developed typhoid fever. She moved to Manhattan in 1901, and the members of the family for whom she worked developed fevers, diarrhea, and jaundice died. Mellon then went to work for a lawyer until 7 of the 8 household members developed typhoid. Right? In 1906, she took a position in Oyster Bay, Long Island, where within 2 weeks, 10 out of 11 family members were hospitalized for typhoid. She changed employment again, and similar occurrence happened in 3 more households. In Oyster Bay, she worked as a cook for wealthy New York banker and his family. When the Warrens rented a house in Oyster Bay for the summer 1906, Mellon came along. From August 27 to September 3, 6 of the 11 people in the house came down with the typhoid fever. Wherever she used to work, she used to pass on typhoid. You know what has happened? What used to happen? Navya, she never used to wash her hand properly. After cleaning, she used to come out and she used to cook. Understood? Did you get my point? It is not that she is passing this typhoid. She never used to keep her that hand clean. Understood? Everyone used to relish the food. Oh, so nice, so tasty food and all. Jyoti, Namrata,
Yes, sir.
understood?
Yes, sir.
So, you want to see her? Typhoid Mary. Okay, right. Individuals can develop typhoid fever after ingesting food or water contaminated during handling by a human carrier. So therefore, you must always wash your hand very carefully after going to toilet. A human carrier may be a healthy person who has survived a previous episode of typhoid fever yet who continues to shed the associated bacteria Salmonella typhi in feces and urine. So, in case of typhoid lady, that is typhoid Mary, right? What used to happen is that she was asymptomatic. She never suffered from typhoid, and she was not knowing that she had typhoid, but she became root cause for spreading the typhoid. Washing hands with soap before touching or preparing food, washing dishes and utensils with soap and water, and only eating cooked food are all the ways to reduce the risk of typhoid infection. Many of us, we have very good habit of eating pani puri on the roadside, and that pani, which gets all the eggs of human feces, through human feces, they come and settle in the pani puri. You like that pani puri so much, our bhai, aur thoda pani dalo. Navya, be careful. Janani, be careful. Hereafter.
I don't eat, sir, from the
Okay.
roadside.
Now coming to pneumonia. Bacteria like Streptococcus pneumoniae and Haemophilus influenzae, both are important. Haemophilus influenzae are responsible for the disease pneumonia in humans, which infects alveoli, air-filled sacs of the lungs. Your cold is different. Pneumonia is different. In pneumonia, alveoli are affected. As a result of this infection, the alveoli get filled with the fluid, leading to severe problems in respiration. The symptoms of pneumonia include fever, chills, cough, headache. Very, very important. You must know how these diseases are caused. What are the symptoms? Okay. So, in severe cases, the lips and finger nails may turn gray to bluish in color in severe cases of pneumonia. Right? Look here. This is what alveoli all got filled with, right? Fluid. And this fluid gets infested with the bacteria. Right? You can see this is a normal alveoli. This is all alveoli filled with the fluid, and pus filled with the airspace contains bacteria and blood cells. So in pneumonia, the alveoli get infected. Also, we can see that it is a normal, healthy bronchiole, windpipe, branches of windpipe, and this is the one inflamed and filled with the mucus. See the lumen, how much it got reduced. Right? A healthy person acquires infection by inhaling droplets or aerosol. I hope you may be knowing what is aerosol. Suspension of fine solid particles or liquid droplets in a gas. We call aerosol. Whenever one sneezes, at that time you come across a lot of these aerosols there. And if at all it enters into our respiratory system, we get immediately infected. A healthy person acquires the infection by inhaling the droplets or aerosols released by the infected person, or even by sharing glasses and utensils with the uninfected person. Used by him with uninfected person. Dysentery, plague, diphtheria, etc. are some of the other bacterial diseases. You must know which are all bacterial diseases, which are all viral diseases, which are all fungal diseases, which are the protozoan diseases, which are the helminthes diseases. So this dysentery, plague, and diphtheria are other bacterial diseases in human beings. Let me just give you some information about this. So dysentery, I am going to tell about later. Plague is a severe, potentially deadly bacterial infection. Right? Plague is caused by bacteria Yersinia pestis. Yersinia pestis, let me just give the details of that later. Okay? Now, diphtheria. Diphtheria is an acute infectious disease caused by bacterium Corynebacterium diphtheriae. Diphtheria spreads through respiratory droplets. Okay? I shall give you details about this later. Now, coming to common cold. Many viruses also cause diseases in human beings. Rhinoviruses are the one which always affect our nose. Rhinoviruses represent one such group of viruses which can cause one of the most infectious human ailments, common cold. Right? They infect the nose and the respiratory passage, but not the lungs. This is the difference between common cold and the pneumonia. In pneumonia, our alveoli are affected. In common cold, nose is affected. Respiratory passage is affected, but not the lungs. The common cold is characterized by nasal congestion. Sometimes you feel block the nose, nasal passage, and you just try to force out air like that by making noise, sound and all. Nasal congestion and discharge. Many times you might have seen the water to trickle down. That much of fluid comes out of your nose. Sore throat, okay, hoarseness in the voices and all, cough, headache, tiredness. These are all symptoms of common cold, which usually last for 3 to 7 days. You know, there is always a saying. Have you heard this saying? The saying is that if you suffer from common cold, if you go to doctor, you will get cured within a week. If you remain back at home without going to doctor, it will get cured within 3 to 7 days. What is the difference? If you go to doctor, it will be cured in a week. If you stay back at home, it will be cured in 7 days. What does it mean? Hello? What is the difference between this Siddesh, Harshvardhan, Prithvi, Rakesh? If you go to doctor, it gets cured in 7 days. If you don't go to doctor, it gets cured in a week. What does it mean?
Both are same.
That means going to doctor for cold is useless. There is no use. It is of no use. Why? Or even if at all you go to doctor, he may give medicine and you may feel that yes, I am cured like that. But you cannot have any vaccination or any treatment. If you suffer from cold, you are going to suffer from cold now and then. Why? You know, every time we get cold, it is because of new virus. Droplets resulting from cough or sneezes of an infected person are either inhaled directly or transmitted through contaminated objects such as pens, books, cups, doorknobs, computer keyboard, mouse, etc., and cause infection in a healthy person. If one boy or girl gets a cold and she comes to the class and attends, entire class is going to get the cold. Immediately it spreads. The moment she sneezes, she passes it to everyone. It spreads very quickly. So, this is what you come across, nasal congestion. Nasal congestion. And you do come across a runny nose, trickling down. Runny nose. Sometimes even a dozen of kerchief will not be sufficient. And this is what a sore throat. Right? So you feel a sort of a pain there in the throat. What do you do generally? If it will get pain, we go for, what is that? We take some water, put a salt into that, hot water, boiled water, then you just make it a little bit cool, then you put it into the mouth, and you do, what is that?
Gargling.
Gargling. That's good practice. Whenever you suffer from that little bit of ache you get, sore throat you get, immediately you should do. It is the first indication. But generally we don't do. Why? Because of our laziness. We don't do. and the next day morning it aggravates. The very first symptom whenever you get to that, you will be knowing that it will not come all of a sudden within an hour or so. And on the previous day itself, you will come to know, yes, I am feeling likely to have fever. Immediately you take care of that. Understood? Understood?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now let us come to malaria. Some of the human diseases are caused by protozoans also. You might have heard about malaria. A disease in human has been fighting since many years. Plasmodium, a tiny protozoan, is responsible for this disease. Different species of Plasmodium, Plasmodium vivax, Plasmodium malaria, Plasmodium falciparum, are responsible for different types of malaria. We shall see there is one more species also. What is that species? Not heard. Okay. Out of this, which is so dangerous? More dangerous?
Plasmodium falciparum.
Falciparum. Okay. So, of this malignant malaria is a malaria which is going to take the life of a person. Malignant malaria caused by Plasmodium falciparum is the most serious one and can even be fatal, life-threatening. Let us take a glance at the life cycle of a Plasmodium. Okay? Yes. Plasmodium enters the human body as a sporozoite. Always ask a question. This is infectious form. So, whenever a mosquito bites you, it injects this sporozoite, infectious form of Plasmodium, into your body. Which bites you? Which mosquito? Remember, it is a female Anopheles mosquito. Remember, always the females are dangerous. Females are dangerous. Which one? Female mosquitoes are dangerous. Right? Males are always calm and quiet. They don't suck your blood. Do you know that? Male mosquitoes, they only bite you. They bite you, but they don't suck your blood. Then how they live? How they live? Generally, how they live? Male mosquitoes? You know?
Don't know, sir.
You know that only female mosquitoes bite and suck your blood?
No, sir.
You don't know? Yeah, who is this? Aisha.
Yes,
Hello? Tell me.
sir. They use the blood for reproduction.
Yeah, no, that is true. These female mosquitoes use our blood for reproduction, but male mosquitoes always suck plant juice. They suck plant juice. They bite us, but they don't suck the blood. But these suck the blood for reproduction purpose, no doubt. So whenever a female mosquito, Anopheles mosquito, bites our hand, which is carrying this plasmodium, at that time, the plasmodium enters into our body in the form what is called sporozoid form. So sporozoids get entered into our body. What will happen? These the parasites initially multiply within the liver cell. When they bite us through the blood, they come to liver cell and then attack the red blood cells. They just get into the red blood cells. What you remember, the malarial parasite is always found inside the cell. That is intracellular. It is an intracellular parasite. It is found inside the RBC. It lives inside the RBC. The parasite initially multiply within the liver cells and then attack red blood cells, RBCs, resulting in their rupture. This is the liver. Parasite reach the liver through blood and the parasite reproduces asexually in the liver cells, bursting the cells and releasing into the blood. So they just burst this or rupture this RBC, red blood corpuscles. The rupture of red blood corpuscles is associated with release of a toxic substance called hemozoin. So when the hemozoin is released, that makes us to suffer, that makes us to show the symptom of chill, high fever, and sweating. So, which is responsible for the chill, high fever recurring every 3 to 4 days. Right? So, one of the most important symptoms of this malarial fever is, whenever you get malaria fever, we just shiver. We feel it very, very cold. You may feel like putting 1, 2, 3, 4 bed sheets on you. You want to cover every part of your body. After some time, at the same time, whenever you shiver, you develop high fever. And after some time, you feel a relax of this fever. You feel like throwing all this water you are putting, and the fever also not there. If you take the thermometer and measure temperature, it comes normal. But it is only temporary. After some time, again you develop the same symptom. So there are different types of this fever, which I study that later. So in this way, these are the symptoms. So whenever you go to doctor telling that I am suffering from fever, the doctor puts the question, first question is that, is it that you get continuous fever or you get a fever with the break in the middle? Okay, so this is what you see. Then, when a female Anopheles mosquito bites an infected person, now it goes here. So you can see here, the parasites reproduce asexually in the red blood cells, bursting the red blood cells and causing the cycles of fever and other symptoms, release the parasites, infect new blood cells. Right? Then what happens? You see it enters into sexual reproduction stage. Gametocytes are produced. You can see here the male and female gametocytes, and these gametocytes, they are taken up by the mosquito when they bite an infected person. Now these gametocytes enter into female mosquito body, and fertilization takes place inside the body of that, right, in the intestine, and from there fertilization development takes place in the mosquito's intestine. From there, the mature infective stage, that means they develop into sporocyte stage. Now you see that to develop inside the cellular glands. So mature infective stages, that is the sporocyte, escape from the intestine and migrate to the mosquito's cellular glands. So these gametocytes, they get converted to sporocyte, and when this mosquito bites another healthy person, the sporocytes enter into the body of healthy person. So when a female Anopheles mosquito bites an infected person, these parasites enter the mosquito's body and undergo further development. The parasites multiply within them to form, that is in the intestine, to form sporozoites that are stored in their salivary glands. When these mosquitoes bite a human, the sporozoites are introduced into his or her body, thereby initiating the events mentioned above. Of course, it is not only this part, it is an elaborate life cycle, but in your syllabus, all the details are not included. That's why I am showing you only what you have here, right? It is interesting to note that the malaria parasite requires two hosts. Remember, one is human and it's a mosquito. To complete its life cycle, the female Anopheles mosquito is the vector. Vector is the transmitting agent. Disease, it is an agent which causes a disease-causing organism from one host to another host. Right? So, this malaria parasite is having two hosts. We say life cycle is bigenic. There are two hosts. And this, wherever it shows a sexual reproduction, it is always called intermediate host. And wherever it shows a sexual reproduction, it is called permanent host. There are two types of host, intermediate and permanent. So we have here the two hosts get involved, temporary host, permanent host. Is it clear? Any doubt? Hello, any doubt? Are you there? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Who will tell me now? Yes. Who will tell me now which causes pneumonia?
Streptococcus pneumoniae.
Streptococcus and
Hemophilus influenzae.
Hemophilus. Okay, good. Now, can you tell me what are the symptoms of typhoid?
High fever, constipation, headache, intestinal perforation, loss of appetite.
Okay. What is the test conducted to confirm this typhoid?
Vital
Vital
test.
Wider test.
Vital test.
Wider test. In what way pneumonia is different from common cold?
pneumonia, the lungs are filled with the fluid.
Pneumonia have filled with fluid, sir, in alveoli.
In pneumonia, alveoli are affected. In common cold, the throat, upper respiratory tract is infected. Okay. Now we shall continue. Entamoeba histolytica is a protozoan parasite in the large intestine of human which causes amoebiasis, amoebic dysentery. You know there are two types of dysentery. One is what is called a loose motion, amoebic dysentery. Another one is the loose motion with the blood passing in that. Okay? So amoebiasis, amoebic dysentery is slightly different from your diarrhea. Symptoms of this disease include constipation. I am telling you about amoebiasis. Amoebic dysentery, always it is the diarrhea with the blood passing through that. Symptoms of this disease include constipation, abdominal pain, cramps, and stools with excess mucus and blood clot. This is very important part. If at all it is a simple liquid motion, one is passing out, need not worry. You just fast for a day. Don't take any food. It will automatically get stopped. Or you have sometimes if you feel that you are having too much of loose motion, take 1 cup of 1 big lota of buttermilk. Take some menthia. Put to your mouth. Drink that. Whole day you will not get loose motion at all. We have to worry whenever the motion is accompanied with the blood passing in it. And if at all loose motion is also accompanied with the vomiting, then you have to be very careful. Immediately you have to rush to the doctor. House flies act as mechanical carrier. Remember, this is very important with the amoebiasis. House flies act as mechanical carrier and serve to transmit a parasite from feces of infected person to food and food products, thereby contaminating them. You must always take care with regard to housefly. Don't allow any housefly to be there inside your houses. The moment you come out, they will come out prior to you and they will go wander and sit wherever they want. The moment you enter, they enter before you and they sit on the food what you are going to eat. And prior to that, where they sat, you don't know. It may be on some fecal matter, and with all feces applied on their legs and all body, they come and sit on the food what you are going to eat. God only should save you. Drinking water and food contaminated by fecal matter are the main source of infection or main source of amoebic dysentery. Right? Now, coming to the Ascaris. Ascaris is the common roundworm and Wuchereria. Okay? The filarial worm are some of the helminthes which are known to be pathogenic to humans. Ascaris and Wuchereria, you know, they belong to Aschelminthes. Ascaris is an intestinal parasite, causes ascariasis. Of course, no doubt, it results in a stomachache. Symptoms of this disease include internal bleeding, muscular pain, fever, anemia, blockage of the intestinal passage. The eggs of the parasite are excreted along with the feces of infected persons which contaminate soil, water, plants, etc. We are always habituated to eat on the roadside and that we find it is more tasteful than the food prepared by our mom. Am I right? Am I right, Aisha? Am I right? Janani, Jyoti, Namrata, Nadira.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you are feeling it is most tasteful, than whatever mom is preparing back at home. And it is more tasteful because of the eggs present in them. You must minimize eating on the roadside. A healthy person acquires this infection through contaminated water, vegetables, fruits, etc. Whatever vegetables you buy, whatever fruits you buy, you must wash them properly. Leafy vegetables, most of them they are grown in such place where the sewage is let in the open, and people make it a point to grow some leaf vegetables there. They grow very nicely, and you'll be very happy if at all that vegetable vendor gives you this much of a big coriander bunch just at the throwaway rate of 10 rupees. Oh, that vendor is so nice here. Mom, let us buy from him only. Now he says like that. Because he used this much of coriander leaves.
No, sir.
And now he wants you to get it and to chop it and just to put it to one of the dishes. Then eat that, relish that. You must always see that all the vegetables, leaf vegetables, fruits, etc., they are always washed properly. And whenever you drink water, you must be very much careful in drinking water also. Don't drink water at all whenever you go to wedding hall, unless it is sealed water. And wedding halls and all where you take this lunch, dinner, etc., it is the most dangerous place from where you get all this contamination. Right? Now let us go to Wuchereria. Wuchereria, bankrupt, and Wuchereria malai. The filarial worms, these are filarial worms belonging to the Ascalminthus, cause a slowly developing chronic inflammation. Chronic inflammation, continuous inflammation, chronic inflammation of the organ in which they live for many years. Usually the lymphatic vessels of the lower limbs, and the disease is called elephantiasis or filariasis. Elephantiasis or filariasis. And you must remember these that one which cause the filariasis, that is the filarial worm, always make it a point to remain inside the lymphatic vessels of the lower limbs. That means infection always affects the lower limbs because these live in the lymphatic vessels. The disease is called elephantiasis or filariasis. I don't know. Those who are coming from South Canara, Udupi, Mangalore and all. Once upon a time, about 50 years back, the entire coastal area suffered a lot from this particular disease, elephantiasis or filariasis. What is it called in Kannada?
Anekalu.
Anekalu roga. Have you seen any patient? No, I don't think so. So this is what happened. The elephantiasis disease affected person's leg. Who is responsible? If the malaria is caused by what type of mosquito? Anopheles mosquito. Elephantiasis is caused by Culex mosquito. Again, female Culex mosquito. Culex mosquito causes elephantiasis or transmits elephantiasis disease, and the caused organism is Wuchereria. Wuchereria bankruptae, Wuchereria malai. Right? This is filariasis on both the legs. This is a Wuchereria one. Look here. And this effect will be sometimes so much so that even it affects the genital organ. Elephantiasis of the scrotum. There is a time, Navya, about 50 years back, the parents of the girls upgot in Shimoga, then Mysore, Bangalore, Dharwada, they were never ready to give their daughter to a person who is ready to marry from the coastal belt. It used to be like that. And coastal belt, Udupi, Mangalore, Kasargodu, Bainduru, here, Bhatkal and all these places are considered as most affected places with regard to elephantiasis. Of course, now you need not bother. It is not at all there. The genital organs are also often affected, resulting in gross deformity. Look here, where is the penis? The entire scrotum is affected by this elephantiasis. The pathogens are transmitted to a healthy person through the bite of the female Culex mosquito. Remember, you know there is one more type of mosquito. Who will tell me? Anopheles is one. Culex is one. What is the third one? Anyone? You have one more mosquito, and that is responsible for chikungunya, dengue fever, yellow fever, like that. What is that mosquito? You don't know. Leave it. So now let us look into ringworm. That mosquito is anyone? Janani? Prithvi? Harshvardhan? Siddesh? Chinmayi? Sarvottam? That mosquito is called Aedes mosquito. Aedes. Aedes mosquito is responsible for causing dengue fever, chikungunya, etc. I will tell about that later. Now coming to ringworm. Many fungi belonging to genera Microsporum, Trichophyton, Epidermophyton are responsible for ringworm, which is one of the most common infectious diseases in man. Remember, these are caused by fungi, not by Platyhelminthes or Ascalminthus member. They are caused by fungi, right? Microsporum, Trichophyton, Epidermophyton are responsible for ringworm, which is one of the most common infectious disease in humans. This is Microsporum. This is the Trichophyton, Epidermophyton. Appearance of dry, scaly lesions on various parts of the body. Dry, scaly lesions on various parts of the body, such as the skin, nails, and scalp, are the main symptoms of the disease. These lesions are accompanied by intense itching. Whenever one suffers from a ringworm, there will be intense itching, horrible itching, and gradually, wherever you have itched, you see the mark like this, something like this, round like that. That's why it is called ringworm. Heat and moisture help these fungi to grow. Heat and moisture, heat and also moisture. Whenever you just wear your inner garments, in that area, around the genital area, generally this is the most appropriate place. Heat and moisture help this fungi to grow. Therefore, most of the ringworms, they just grow here, appear here, which makes them thrive in skin folds, such as those in the groin. Groin is the area where your body joins the abdomen. This is the area, groin area, right? So this is the abdomen region. So in these places, it is more. Between the toes also. Ringworms are generally acquired from soil or by using towels, clothes, or even the comb of infected individual. We exactly don't know how it appears, right? How it comes from the acquired, how it is acquired from the soil. But once it comes, it becomes difficult to get rid of that. Whenever one gets some skin problem, like this, some skin disease, immediately we have to make it a point to contact the doctor as early as possible. Sometimes even these skin diseases can be better cured even with the Ayurvedic medicine, not only with the allopathic. And remember, sometimes these skin diseases to get cured, it requires years together. 1 year, 2 years, 3 years like that. Even doctors, even the skin specialists cannot say that much easily whether it is caused by fungus or whether it is caused by bacteria. It becomes difficult for him to even to tell, right? So, this is what here, the ringworm symptoms, appearances, and you can make out here. I hope you can see it clearly, right? Ringworm. Many times you see that ringworms are the genital organ. It is the vulva in case of female. See? Ringworm. Right? You can see that these are all ringworms. Right? In case of male. This is what you have in the NCERT book. Affected area of the skin. Maintenance of personal and public hygiene is very important for prevention and control of many infectious diseases. Personal cleanliness, public hygiene. Where you go to the public toilets and all, you must be very much careful there. Measures for personal hygiene include keeping the body clean, consumption of clean drinking water, food, vegetables, etc., fruits, etc. Not for this particular fungal infection, in general. This is applicable to, in general, for all type of diseases. Public hygiene include proper disposal of waste and excreta, periodic cleaning and disinfection of water reservoirs, pools, cesspools, a covered hole or pit for receiving drainage or sewage, and tanks, and observing standard practices of hygiene in public catering. One should be very much careful whenever one caters in the public, not touching everything with the bare hand. These measures are particularly essential where the infectious agents are transmitted through food and water, such as typhoid, amoebiasis, ascariasis, etc. In case of airborne diseases such as pneumonia, common cold, in addition to the above measures, close contact with the infected person or their belongings should be avoided. You might have got this very much known to you because of COVID virus. For diseases such as malaria and filariasis that are transmitted through insect vector, the most important measure is to control or eliminate the vector, mosquito, and their breeding places. We must see that in and around our residential area, there are no standing water bodies. This can be achieved by avoiding stagnation water in and around the residential areas, regular cleaning of household coolers, use of mosquito nets, introducing fishes like gambusia, mosquito fish, in ponds that feed on mosquito larvae. Gambusia is a aquarium fish which feeds on mosquito larvae. It is better to grow them in aquarium or nearby pond. Spraying of insecticides in ditches, drainage areas, swamps, etc. Swamp is standing water body with a little bit of trees and all. In addition, doors and windows should be provided with wire mesh to prevent entry of mosquitoes at evening time. Such precautions have become all the more important, especially in the light of recent widespread of incidents of vector-borne Aedes mosquito. I said about the Aedes mosquito. Diseases like dengue and chikungunya in many parts of India. So I hope you understand this Aedes mosquito responsible for dengue and chikungunya. The advancement made in biological sciences have armed us effectively to deal with many infectious diseases. The use of vaccines and immunization programs have enabled us to completely eradicate a deadly disease like smallpox. You might have heard about the smallpox. What we do have still now is a chickenpox, not a smallpox. Smallpox is completely eradicated from the earth. Do you know what is this smallpox squad in Canada? Anyone? No? Good. So, this is the person, okay? Right, of course, dengue fever and all. I don't want to take the time. Later, let us see that. A large number of other infectious diseases like polio, diphtheria, pneumonia, and tetanus have been controlled to a large extent by the use of vaccines. So all these are controlled. This diphtheria used to be a dreadful disease around 50 to 60 years back. It used to kill a lot of children at a very, very young age. Okay, biotechnology is at the verge of making available newer and safer vaccines. Discovery of antibiotics and various other drugs has also enabled us to effectively treat infectious diseases. So with regard to diphtheria, so just I wanted to tell you, poliomyelitis is what simply called polio. It's a viral disease, right? We shall see that later, right? This is the person, how he looks like affected by polio, right? Polio. Tetanus is otherwise called a lockjaw. Tetanus infection of the nervous system with the potential dreaded bacteria Clostridium tetani, right? This is the person affected with the tetanus. So now, what I want is that you please go through these slides. I request you to have the screenshot. And also, if possible, you can take down. If you tell it is not possible to have the screenshot, I am giving you some of the information on the different types of diseases. Okay. So, if the time permits, let me just give you the time to take down. First, I shall finish. So, diseases are mainly of the communicable diseases, viral diseases, rickettsial diseases, bacterial diseases. Viral diseases are caused by viruses. These are the common examples: influenza, smallpox, measles, mumps, rabies, polio, AIDS. These are all viral diseases. And rickettsial diseases caused by an organism called Rickettsia, typhus, trench fever, Q1 fever, Rocky Mountain, spotted fever, like that. Okay, less known. Bacterial diseases include cholera, typhoid, tuberculosis, pneumonia, plague, leprosy. These are basic diseases, classification of the diseases as viral, rickettsial, bacterial disease. In addition to that, you come across spirochetal diseases caused by the spirochete, protozoan diseases caused by protozoa, amoebiasis, malaria, sleeping sickness, oriental sore, helminthes diseases, which is caused by helminthes, ascariasis, teniasis, filariasis, ankylostomiasis, fungal diseases, which includes ringworm, athlete's foot, like that. So these are the important types of diseases. Now let us see further classification of this. Yes, have the screenshot of this. Common viral diseases of human. And you must know which disease is caused by which particular virus. Influenza is caused by orthomyxovirus, chickenpox, verticella zoster, smallpox, variola virus, measles, rubeola virus, rabies, Lissa virus, mumps, paramyxovirus, poliomyelitis, poliovirus. So these are all different types of viral diseases of humans. Right? Clear? Understood? Now we shall see another one. Viral diseases. Infectious hepatitis type A, hepatitis. It is by hepatitis virus. AIDS. Caused virus is human immunodeficiency virus, HIV. So you have hepatitis B, and you have dengue fever caused by dengue virus, and swine flu. You might have heard, and about few years back it made big news. Swine flu, it is caused by H1N1 virus. So these are the different viral diseases, right? Coming to the bacterial diseases, these are the different bacterial diseases. Cholera caused by Vibrio coma or Vibrio cholerae. Pneumonia caused by Streptococcus pneumoniae. Typhoid by Salmonella typhi. Tetanus by Clostridium tetani. Diphtheria by Corynebacterium diphtheriae. Whooping cough caused by Bordetella pertussis. Then tuberculosis by Mycobacterium. Plague by Yersinia pestis. So these are the different diseases caused by the bacteria. And you have here the same line continues. You have leprosy caused by Mycobacterium leprae. Syphilis caused by Treponema pallidum. Gonorrhea caused by Neisseria gonorrhea. Diarrhea is caused by Escherichia coli, Shigella dysentery, Salmonella, Campylobacter. And anthrax caused by Bacillus anthracis. And these different types of diseases and causative organisms you must know very well. Right? I shall give you time again if you don't want to take the screenshot. But keeping everything only in the phone is not good. You have to transfer it into your book. Right? Protozoan diseases. Amoebic dysentery is caused by Entamoeba histolytica. And we have another disease called flagellated diarrhea. Diarrhea is also caused by protozoa. And it is called Giardia intestinalis, causative bacteria, causative organism, Giardia intestinalis. So, this is causative organism, not bacteria, protozoan diseases of human. Right? So, amoebic dysentery, Entamoeba histolytica, flagellate diarrhea, Giardia intestinalis. Malaria is caused by Plasmodium ovale. And also, it is a benign. There are two types of malaria. Malaria, one is malignant and it's benign. It is not life-threatening. Plasmodium vivax with the fever attack after 48 hours, that is the third day widespread. 48 hours. Okay. Right? If anyone has fever today, tomorrow there is no fever, 24 hours over. Another day, it is now from Thursday, no fever on Friday, again fever comes on Saturday. 48 hours of duration. First day, no on second day, third day, again. It is what is known as the fever that is called the benign tertian fever, malaria fever. So this is what malarial cotton fever. Here, it is of 72 hours. So fever occurs every 72 hours. Again, that is 1 day fever. 2 days there is no fever. And fourth day again it appears, 72 hours. Okay, this is what is called cotton fever. You must know about the tertian fever and cotton fever. Malaria quotidian or malignant tertian. Malignant tertian. It is again malignant and it is tertian. Okay, it is appearing every alternate 48 hours, and it is very much fatal. So you have another dysentery, and this dysentery is caused by Balantium coli. These are all the diseases caused by the protozoans. And helminthes diseases include that of Ascariasis, Ascaris lumbricoides, giant intestinal roundworm, filariasis caused by Cherry bankrupti, and ankylostomiosis caused by Ankylostomodiode and hookworm. So I want you to be very much thorough with these different types of diseases caused by different organisms. And if you want, I shall place these some informations right from this communicable diseases, different types of diseases. I have it taken on, or let me just put this in Google Classroom if you require. Okay? Is it clear? Hello, are you following me? Have you followed?
Yes, sir.
Right? Any doubt here? So with this, the human disease is over.